Ever wonder why some leaders can walk into a room and instantly command attention? I've coached thousands of high performers and spoken on huge stages, and I can tell you, it's not just natural charisma. I'm going to show you 11 presenting secrets every leader should know so you can craft a message that grabs your audience's attention and deliver it with absolute authority, even if you've never felt like a natural speaker. And it all starts with this. Secret number 1. So many of the leaders and sales professionals I've worked with over the last 15 years are scared of a blank piece of paper. The first thing they do when they get asked to present is open an old slide deck and start tweaking. Ideas get dumped onto the page in a completely random order, and the result is a message that's just really difficult to follow, usually accompanied by death by PowerPoint. When I challenge them on it, most of them admit that if they were in their own audience, they'd stop listening too. Secret number 1, don't make your slides first. Start with the narrative. Resist the temptation to begin with the slides. In the first instance, just start making a list of everything you could possibly cover, the key ideas, the supporting facts, data and graphs that reinforce your message, like case studies and stories, like post-its are really good for this. Don't try and order things at this stage. Then, once you've got it down, start to sort through what stays, what goes. If you take this approach, a natural narrative will start to emerge and your ideas will have a much more powerful and logical flow. That's what the next secret is all about. Secret number 2. Most of us have sat through a presentation and got completely lost, right? Timelines jumping all over the place. The presenter talks about what will happen in a few weeks' time, and then the big problem that they faced 2 years ago, and then gives you this list of actions that they're taking right now. It's like being in a Quentin Tarantino film. Now, don't get me wrong, I love an art house movie. But there's a reason why they don't perform as well at the box office as something starring Tom Cruise. Audiences crave logic. Most of the time, we prefer a narrative that's easy to follow. That's why secret number 2 is think like a screenwriter. Have a clear beginning, middle, and end. When you watch a great leader or a great speaker present, their content is what I call blockbuster. The timeline is really clear. It doesn't jump around. If we want our audiences to listen, we need to make it really easy for them to understand. We don't want them to have to work too hard. We want them to sit back with a metaphorical bucket of popcorn and enjoy the show. When you use a simple 3-act structure, that's exactly what happens. Your audience knows what's coming, and as a result, what you have to say is much easier to digest. Secret number 3. I learned this next lesson from the late, great Bill Paxton. Now, full disclosure, I haven't always been a communications coach. I actually started my career as a professional actor, and Bill played my dad in the Hollywood remake of Thunderbirds, and that's my spaceship, in case you're wondering. Now, when you are presenting, just like when you're giving an acting performance, it's really easy to make it all about you. Right? How do I look? How do I sound? How am I coming across? But that's the completely wrong approach. When I asked Bill what his advice was for giving a memorable performance, he said this: honor the audience. And it doesn't just apply to acting. It applies to every communication situation you find yourself in, which is why secret number 3 is it's always about your audience. Tailor everything to them. It's too easy to speak about things from your own perspective, but the best leaders know that they have to step into their audience's shoes. You have to speak their language. What are their pain points? What are their perspectives? How do they see the world? How do they prefer to receive information? The more you tailor your message to your audience, the more likely it is to land. Every presentation you give should be tweaked. Every time you talk about something in a meeting, it should change. It doesn't have to be radically different, but when your audience feels heard, they really start to listen. Secret number 4. When they're presenting, most leaders obsess over the details. They get caught up in the exact words that they want to say, focusing on the message at the detriment of everything else. As a result, their delivery is flat and the audience quickly switches off. Now, luckily, there's a simple antidote from the world of acting that I'd like to share with you. Secret number 4, know how you want them to feel, especially at the end. Now, this is something that actors obsess over, but it's actually a technique that's been codified from real life. And when I work with leaders and they learn to apply it, it's a game changer. Are you trying to excite your audience? Are you trying to challenge them? Are you trying to reassure them? There are literally thousands of emotional intentions to choose from. And when you commit to them, they change not just how you say the words, but the words you choose. If I try and amuse you, it will sound very different than if I try and threaten you. Now, when you're thinking about your presentation, you've got to get really clear on how you want your audience to feel, especially at the end. It's the emotion that they'll walk out of the meeting with, so don't leave it up to chance. Secret number 5. Now, I appreciate the irony of what I'm about to say, given that this is a list of 11 secrets, but this is a YouTube video, not a presentation. You can always rewind and go back, so hear me out. Most people completely overshare. We've all been there, listening to someone drone on and on. It doesn't matter how passionate you are about the topic, the human brain can only process a finite amount of information. So if you try and cram too much in, people either switch off or get so overwhelmed that they can't remember what you're trying to say. So if you're pitching and presenting and you want your message to be memorable, you need to remember secret number 5. Less is more. Choose the 3 things you want remembered. Now, I could make a whole other video about why 3 is the magic number, but trust me, when you start looking, you will find it like everywhere. Friends, Romans, countrymen, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It just works. Now, your audience might remember 4 things, but why risk it? Try to group your content together under each of your key messages. And if you find you've got too much to cover, consider splitting it out into separate presentations rather than overwhelming your audience completely unnecessarily. Before I move on to the next secret, if you're finding these ideas useful, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on my other tips and tricks. And if there's something specific you'd like me to make a video about, let me know in the comments. Secret number 6. So many of the leaders that I work with tell me that they're not storytellers, that it's just not something that comes naturally. Instead, they try and cram their presentations with facts and figures, hoping to appeal to their audience's logic. But that's just one part of the equation. Great speakers and leaders appeal to their audience's hearts as well as their heads. And if you're not telling stories, you're missing a massive opportunity, which is why secret number 6 is stories beat facts. Use them generously. Now, I'm not suggesting just boring people with anecdotes, and I'm not even suggesting kids' fairy tales at bedtime. Instead, I'm talking about crafting a strategic narrative that takes your audience on a journey, right? Human beings are just hardwired for it. It's how we've learned and shared danger and opportunity through the ages. The data still needs to be accurate and the delivery doesn't need to be extravagant. But when you craft a story, you make what you're saying memorable. Secret number 7. FYI, next Tuesday, the SLDC will be meeting to discuss ADC's USPs and plan to report back to the CPOC by COB. And unfortunately, I'm not joking. So many of the presentations that I've coached people on over the last 15 years have been crammed with jargon and acronyms that make them not only sound ridiculous, but almost impossible to understand. Worse still, the people you're talking to are very unlikely to ask you to clarify, as they won't want to come across as stupid. It's this downward spiral, which is why secret number 7 is jargon switches people off. Keep your language simple. Yes, jargon can be a shortcut, but if there's a chance that even one person in your audience might not understand, leave it out. The question I often ask leaders is this: how would you explain it to a 5-year-old? This question forces you to use language that everyone can understand. Now, it's not dumbing down your message. It's actually making it sharper and easier for others to understand and then share. Secret number 8. We've all been to this presentation. Good morning, everybody. As many of you know, my name's Dave. I'm really excited to be able to spend time with you today. Glad everyone got here safely. The weather's been really terrible and the traffic on the ring road, well, it was absolutely awful. So, well done. I'd like to kick off with the agenda and just take you through what we'll be covering during our time together. Boring. Now, Dave has just guaranteed that everyone is still checking their emails or thinking about what they fancy for lunch. Secret number 8 is don't start with the housekeeping, grab attention instead. In my books, Impact and Cut Through, I call this starting with a surprise. It's not about pulling a rabbit out of a hat or doing anything crazy. Instead, the trick is to let your audience know that you've begun. It could be a quote, a statistic, a story, an image, a video, anything that isn't the usual housekeeping, so people know to sit up and pay attention. Secret number 9, most leaders are time poor. We don't have hours to rehearse, so we either don't bother at all, which is a big mistake, or we run through the whole thing a couple of times in our head and just hope for the best. Now, pro speakers do something different. This little rehearsal hack has saved my skin on so many occasions. Secret number 9 is practice your opening and closing most. The middle will take care of itself. The beginning and the end are where the stakes are highest. At the start, you need your audience's attention. You've got to capture them immediately and give them confidence in you as a presenter and a leader. The end is where the call to action comes and where you want to leave people no uncertainty about what you're asking them to do as a result of listening to you. Now, how you structure and deliver these parts of the presentation is so important. Get them right, and the middle will take care of itself now, as long as you've followed all of the other tips in this video. But get them wrong, and your presentation will count for nothing. So when time is short and you can't rehearse the whole thing, focus on the beginning and the end, and that will absolutely pay dividends. Secret number 10. Have you ever watched someone giving a presentation and felt a little bit seasick? The world seemed to sway as they wandered around like this, moving from one side of the stage to the other. Right? It's comforting to them, but to the audience, it suggests that they lack confidence, that they lack gravitas. That's where secret number 10 comes in. Stillness is a superpower. Don't wander around. When you watch the top leaders speak, they're usually anchored to the spot. When they move, it's with purpose, and they command the space. Getting comfortable with stillness takes practice, but it's a skill worth mastering. So plant both your feet on the ground, try and relax your body, and let gravity do its thing. That's where the word gravitas comes from, after all. At first, I recommend getting used to delivering your message without moving at all. Then, once you've mastered that, you can start to add in deliberate movement, but only where it reinforces your message. And finally, secret number 11. Sometimes when you present, you'll be faced with an audience of energy vampires, right? You know the type of people I mean. They seem to sit there and suck the life out of the room, finding the negative in everything you do. Now, the danger is that they bring you down with them. Now, if you find yourself in this situation, you've got to remember secret number 11. Lead the energy in the room. It's your job to make them listen. Whoever's in the audience, if you're the one presenting, you set the tone, right? It's not your audience's job to pay attention. It's your job to make them. Now, be careful. Bowling in with too much energy can really put people off too. So I coach my clients to meet their audience where they are and take them to where you want them to be. So if the audience is a little low energy, come in just above them and slowly start to warm things up. Now, remember, you don't need your audience to be as energized as you are, right? I'd be slightly worried if you're bouncing around the room right now watching this video. You just need them to be paying attention. If you found these secrets useful, you might like this video. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks. Thanks for watching.